Greetings. This is TK Trav, aka Travis Magus, here with LVX777. Today we are going to embark on our weekly collective tarot reading. So hopefully you've been in tune with the energies of the collective and you are either prepared to receive a message or prepared to confirm what message you've already received. So as usual, we'll begin this with a collective tarot reading, one that addresses pretty much everyone who's a part of this spiritual journey that we in this group find ourselves on. And then after that, if there are any people who would like individual specific readings for themselves, we will do that as well. I've got the link pinned in the top of the comments if you'd like to have a specific reading for yourself. So peace and greetings. Peace and greetings to all my favorite people. How's the audio? Is the audio nice and clear? Is the music too loud? Is the vocal too low? Let me know. This might be a little bit better. Okie doke. Okie doke. So yeah, peace and greetings to all my favorite people. Sunshine Chick, always good to see you. Anna Molly, peace, peace, peace and greetings. Supremacy McCoy, peace, peace. Lila S, peace and greetings. Katrina Stevens, peace. You'll be our first read for the night. After the collective, of course. Crystal Mystic, peace, peace. All right, so apparently the audio is good. So where are we right now? What are the stats? So we just concluded Gemini season. Wasn't that great? And now we've moved into Cancer. The sun has moved into Cancer season. Right now, specifically tonight, yesterday, and a little bit of tomorrow, are very opportune times for psychic stuff. So if you plan on working with your astral projection, trying to have a lucid dream, doing some tarot of your own, improving your telepathy skills, this would be a good time to get some of that in. Namely because we've got the sun that has moved into Cancer and the moon has moved into Pisces. So we've got double water right now. Pisces is the sign that receives the influences of all the others. Pisces is a great sign for reflection. Not simply just reflection on yourself, but like going down memory lane, right? Pisces has a lot to do with taking your mind back into what was, just kind of overlooking the grand scheme of what you've been through in life, the lessons learned, a lot of reminiscing, a lot of contemplating, hopefully a lot of gratitude. So maybe you've been feeling that a lot lately. I certainly have. But Pisces is good for that. And I say that because, symbolically Pisces is at the end of the zodiac representing the feet, right? Where Aries would represent the head, the beginning. Pisces would represent the feet, the end, the culmination, the collection. And just like if you were in the shower, all the water and the soap bubbles go down to the feet. So Pisces is kind of that sign that collects the experiences of all the others. And that's why I say this is a good time for psychic ability, for reflection, reminiscing, and also gratitude for the lessons learned. Make sense? The Enchanted Rose, peace, peace. Kevros SS God, peace and greetings. All right, so let's get to some of this tarot, shall we? Let's get to some of this tarot. Star Lion, peace and greetings. Okay, so we've got Cancer and Pisces. Might help if I turn on the light. Might. So Cancer Sun, Pisces Moon. That's where we are right now. Let's do a collective reading for current energies. How y'all doing? How's everybody tonight? Let me know in the chat. What's your status? How you feeling? How's your week been? What you been getting into? Did we learn anything? Did we have any type of eye-opening experiences? Were we just chilling, relaxing? Did we have a lot of work to do? Oh, somebody jumped out. And Amali says, little cross-faded, reviewed a lot of personal notes, chilling before the next phase. Right on. I definitely feel this before the next phase type of energy for sure. Let's see how much of that actually comes out in this reading. Kevro says, God says, hello everyone. These past days, my synchronicities in the physical have been crazy. Gotta love it, right? Got to love it. Lila S says, I'm in the integration phase, I think. Okay, and that's a beautiful phase to be in, right? Because like I said, this is that time where you can really stop and reflect and just take a look at all the lessons and patterns that you've recognized that have been happening. And that's a great thing because it helps to put some of the worry at ease. It takes some of the confusion out of life when you're able to identify the patterns that continually play out in your life. It gives you a sense of consistency, doesn't it? Especially if one of those patterns is everything works out the way that it's supposed to. Especially when one of those patterns is I always have what I need when it comes down to it. Especially when one of those patterns is even though I'm lonely, I'm never alone. It's funny because some of these sound like affirmations, don't they? There's a thing about affirmations. See, affirmations, they work, but they only really work when you believe them. And I don't simply mean like you say it and you tell yourself you believe it. I mean affirmations work when they are a direct reflection of your dominant thoughts. And when I say a direct reflection of your dominant thoughts, what I mean is those unspoken thoughts that are creating your day-to-day reality. We all have unspoken thoughts that are happening just beneath the surface. And it's these thoughts that are responsible for the events that happen each and every day. Just look at your day so far. Everything that you've done so far. There has been a stream of unbroken thought that your daily events are a direct result of. And if you can follow that stream back a couple of days, a week, a month, a couple of months, a couple of years, you'll start to recognize that this stream of unbroken thought, of unbroken beliefs, I should say, has been creating your life day by day by day. Manifestation isn't hard. We just make it hard because we haven't recognized the patterns that have already been present in our lives. You get what I'm saying? Hybrid Soldier, peace, peace. Supremacy McQuay says this week has been an overall great today. It has been a great day of reflection and introspection. Yes, that's that Pisces and that Cancer. That's that double water we got. Supremacy McQuay says, I've been releasing a lot of worry and tension. You're right. Okay, here we go. Now we begin. If you're here, if you're looking forward to this, if you're enjoying this so far, even though we just got started, go ahead and hit that like button. Go ahead and hit the like button. It means a lot to appease the YouTube algorithm deities. So if you like this type of thing and you want to see more of it, let me know by hitting the like button. All right. All right, here we go. Straight Panther, peace, peace, my bro. Peace, peace. Hope you're having a good evening. Let's get it cracking. Oh, my monster is ice cold. Damn near frozen. I can dig it. I can get behind that. Okay, so let's see where we are with this collective reading. We've got the sun in Cancer, moon in Pisces. What is the energy for now? What are some of the things we need to focus on, pay attention to? In my meditation today, the Tower card jumped out. And my first instinct was, like a lot of other people, oh no, it's the tarot card, the Tower card, something's bad's going to happen. But then I checked myself and I'm like, is that really what the Tower card means? Does that really mean something bad's going to happen? And I went to go looking into it and I realized in my studies, the 7 major arcana that relate to the 7 planets actually deal with dualities. They deal with polarities. Remember in the Kabbalion, it talked about the law of polarity, those 2 extremes that meet in the middle. Well, there are 7 major arcana that deal with 7 polarities of existence. We know that the Magus card represents Mercury, that deals with the polarity of life and death. We know that the Empress card is Venus, the High Priestess is the Moon, Jupiter's Wheel of Fortune, etc. And the Tower represents Mars. And Mars is not always a bad thing. Mars represents the duality of grace and indignation. Grace versus indignation. Now, grace is that's a delicate word. And it has a lot to do with forgiveness. It has a lot to do with mercy. It has a lot to do with compassion. And mostly it's for yourself. It's for yourself. A lot of us have done things in our lives that we may not have been proud of, or we've done something in our life that, may have hurt somebody or hurt ourselves. We may feel that it caused damage or something that we regret. And even though others may have forgiven us or not, sometimes we're extra hard on ourselves and we don't forgive ourselves for the things we've done in the past. See, it actually takes strength to forgive yourself. It takes strength to forgive yourself. Anybody can feel guilt. Hell, there's a lot of people who fetishize guilt. Guilt isn't difficult, and it isn't very effective. In fact, it's a useless emotion. Guilt doesn't do anything for us. But grace is actually facing those things that we did, accepting that we did them, and allowing ourselves to forgive ourselves. And grace, it's applied towards the self, and it can also be applied towards others. And it's something that we can feel from, you can say, God towards ourselves. Grace. So the Tower actually represents the polarity between grace and indignation, which is the opposite of grace. Something to keep in mind. I have a feeling that will pop up tonight. Card number 1, the Hanged Man. All right, so we're dealing with a new perspective, which is always good. New perspective, and we're dealing with water, pure water. This again relates to the psychic abilities. Like we see, we've got Cancer Sun, Pisces Moon right now. Hanged Man pops up first as water. 10 of Pentacles, very much prosperity and abundance. The Emperor, Aries, leadership, organization. So let's put this together here. What's the message that we've got so far? There's a new perspective that we have towards prosperity, towards abundance. Perhaps we're finding wealth in things other than physical money and physical goods. Perhaps we're recognizing the value of what's really important in our lives. Perhaps we've got a new perspective on what's really worthy of our attention and our energy and our focus here lately. And perhaps we're taking that new perspective of what's really important and starting to make plans, starting to make changes, starting to actually structure and organize where we are going from here. Right? At any point, if this resonates with you, let me know in the chat. This is a, how do we say, interactive reading. It looks like so far the energy for right now is that a lot of us are coming into a new perspective of what's really valuable, of what real prosperity is, of what real abundance is. And from that new perspective, we're taking action to start making plans, to organize, to change our lives in such a way to increase, to, what's the word? Not even increase, but moving in the direction towards what's really important, as opposed to chasing what is fleeting. Seems like a lot of you now are reaching a level of maturity. This right here looks like a set of cards that represents maturity. We've got the Emperor, who is seen as a bearded old man, an older man. And again, like I said, Aries being the head, being the initiator of the zodiac. This is someone in charge who makes the plans. This is someone who calls the shots, but not a young and impulsive goat, an old and wise and mature goat. Ram, I should say ram. Ram goat, that's the same animal, right? Ram. And also here with the Ten of Pentacles. The Ten of Pentacles, we've got Mercury and Virgo. And you can see there's an old man here. And he's kicked back, chilling, living in the world that he's created. You know, he's got the pets and his children and his grandchildren there in the corner, living in the city, living in beauty, and he's surrounded by the fruits of his labor. These are cards of wisdom, of maturity. And the Hanged Man is as well. See, the Hanged Man represents, like I said, a changed perspective. So you had to have been someone who had a perspective before, who's lived somewhat of a reckless life, who, not even reckless, but maybe impulsive is the word, who's lived a life just doing whatever. But the Hanged Man represents turning that upside down. In a way, in this card, he's being punished for his deeds, but by the halo behind him, we see that he's actually enlightened. He sees perhaps the error of his ways. Maybe this is a self-sacrifice. Maybe this is a self-sacrifice. Matthew Watson, peace and greetings. Chris says, I've been studying Thursatru and plan to do my first ritual to Gulve tonight. This is a great time to do it. I'd love to hear what comes of your ritual. Peace, peace, peace. Supremacy McCoy says, facts, organizing the chaos. Let's keep going. John Ali, peace and greetings. Okay, so new perspective. Really taking a mature look at what abundance is, what prosperity is, what's important in life, and now making moves, making plans towards what's important. It's almost like, you know, you just run in the streets and being wild and whatever, and then you have a kid and you decide, okay, it's time to settle down and let me focus on what's important, and, you know, let me get a stable job and take care of my kid and give him a stable or her a stable home, et cetera, et cetera. It's kind of like that, right? Seeing what's really important versus what's not, and changing your life in such a way to adapt towards that. Anybody been through that phase? Oh, I'm ready to settle down now. I'm ready to settle down. It's always so funny to me. I have a friend who just had a daughter. He's going through that phase right now. He's done running the streets, ready to settle down and take care of his daughter. Let's see what the next set of cards gives us for the collective energy of today. Speaking of Jupiter, right? Jupiter is in Gemini right now. Some of you who study astrology might know what that means. Jupiter, expansive. And remember, like I said, the cards, the major arcana that represent the planets, represent polarities. In this particular case, Jupiter, Wheel of Fortune, represents the polarity of wealth and poverty, right? Keep this in mind for those of you who are studying tarot. The 7 major arcana that represent the planets, they are polarity cards, and they represent the polarities between a specific type of energy. In this case, Jupiter, Wheel of Fortune, represents the polarity between wealth and poverty. And that's right on point for what we've been talking about, a new perspective on exactly what wealth is, what abundance is. I knew the tower was going to show up. I knew the tower was going to show up. I told you that. That one represents Mars. And as we said, Mars is the polarity between, what was it? I just said it. Grace and indignation. And then, of course, we've got the 9 of Swords. 9 of Swords. This is the card that represents my birthday, which just passed not long ago. Kevin Wise, peace, peace. MC Maestro, peace and greetings. I got you, got you. Gotcha. Jasmine Bond, peace and greetings. Peace and greetings. Zero, hello. Hello. Poison ivy. All right, so let's get to what this is all about. So we have here this Wheel of Fortune. And as I just said, Wheel of Fortune is the polarity, the balance between abundance and poverty, between wealth and poverty, rags to riches, the wheel of rags to riches. And going right in line with this new perspective, it's not just about money. It's not just about money, because this can also represent health. This can also represent family and friendships. In fact, I think it does, because we've got this image here of wealth in terms of family, even pets, right? Things. So right now, the energy is strong right now between that balance of what it really means to be abundant, what wealthy really means. Yeah, for sure. Everybody wants $1 million in the bank account. We all want that, for sure, because that means that we're well fed. We have authority and power and status and all that. We all want that, sure. But that is not the only definition, right? Because what are you going to do with all that if your body is in shambles? What are you going to do with all that if your emotions are in shambles? If your relationships are in shambles? If your mind is in shambles, right? So there's different levels and degrees and types of abundance and wealth. And right now, it seems like we are so focused on that, not in a greedy way, but in a mature, wise way. Tower moment, right? Representing Mars, grace and indignation. Perhaps this is a time where you're starting to forgive yourself for some of the things that you did in the past, right? Perhaps you're starting to look at some of the things you've been stubborn about and starting to change how you feel about them. And maybe that acceptance and love and grace that you've been applying towards yourself is what's actually opening the doors to this new outlook on wisdom and abundance and wealth and prosperity. Perhaps you're letting go of some things that have been holding you back and keeping you back from receiving what has been on its way to you, right? And then finally, of course, we've got the 9 of Swords. The 9 of Swords. Now, the 9 of Swords represents Mars in Gemini. So here we have this card that represents Mars. Mars, which I mentioned was on one level, this can be looked at as the balance between grace and indignation. On another level, right, and some more research that I did, is that this card actually represents the Shakti energy. This is the card that represents the exciting intelligence, that which stimulates all living things, and that is the Mars energy for sure. That is the Mars energy. So you can see it's not anything bad, right? Now, if it's imbalanced and put out of order, then of course it can cause disastrous results. But in this case, this Mars energy here seems like there's a switch. There's a switch when we talk about the circulation of Shakti power and Kundalini energy. There's a switch that can filter how this energy is used. And if the switch is angled towards, because, think about a train on a track and it's about to come to a split, and you hit that switch to make the train go left or right. That's what I'm talking about when I say a switch. Perhaps that switch deals with grace versus indignation. Perhaps if you've forgiven yourself and you accept yourself as you are, accept your past as it was, perhaps you can turn that switch towards this energy being utilized in a way that's beneficial to you. And maybe if you have that switch turned to where you still have regret and you still have doubt and fear and anger and resentment and indignation towards yourself, perhaps that's how you channel this energy in ways that are self-destructive. And maybe that's the image chosen here, that Shakti power used against itself. So dealing with Mars and Gemini, that's literally the same thing, because Gemini we see as that sign of duality, that sign pointing in both directions. And if it's Mars and Gemini, we've got that energy now being split, diffused. So maybe if you haven't come to this point where you're seeing the world through a new perspective and really starting to take into consideration what's important, what's really valuable, and making plans towards that, maybe if you haven't come to that point just yet, maybe you're going through an experience now that's causing you to examine the thoughts, the beliefs in your mind right now. Maybe you're going through an experience right now that's causing you to examine whether or not you're actually being graceful towards yourself, or if you're still holding resentment towards other people or towards yourself. And it might be that that is the root cause of some of the things in your life that aren't going right. What do you think? What do you think? And Amali says, Nine of Swords. There's a sword fight carved in the bed. There's a sword fight carved in the bed and astrological signs on the quilt. I read it as a karmic or fate card. Nice. Let's see that. Yeah, there's a sword fight happening engraved into the bed itself. I don't know if you can see that. Then, of course, on the bed quilt, there are the astrological signs and the 12 zodiac signs and the planets. So, yeah, that would be a great interpretation right there of it being a karmic and a fate card. Yeah, perhaps this is a turning point for some people. Perhaps this is a turning point for some of you. And for others, or let me say, perhaps this is a major turning point for some, and maybe a not so major for others. Good stuff, good stuff. Eero, peace, peace. Hood Ross says twice, can you read me? Absolutely. Absolutely. I guess I don't have the link pinned in the comments like I usually do. But yeah, if you'd like a reading, just hit the link, post it here, either my Cash App or my PayPal. Eero says, feeling good, just finished 2 songs and got a Night Sun deck. Nice. Magic Marcel, peace, peace. Thank you, Sunshine Chick. I don't know what's going on with my computer. It's not letting me pin the link. Hmm. Okay, so how does everybody feel about the collective reads so far? There we go. All right, perhaps I can do one or two more along with this. Lila S says this reading is totally accurate. That's awesome. That's awesome. O Dog says, I thought only women do this, but blashed. Blashed. I don't know. I think that anybody can do the blashed if they'd like to. Blashed, I don't think is limited to gender. What do you think? Have you ever done the blashed, O Dog? You ever done the blashed? I don't think O Dog's very fond of the blashed. Cosmic Puzzle, peace. Peace, peace. Fat Tony, peace and greetings. Peace and greetings, my friend. All right, so all in all, last card for this general reading. I would say that with this Queen of Swords, right? But we know that the kings lay down the plans and the queens orchestrate the carrying out of the plans. We got the swords, which deals with the mind, deals with the thought process, right? So take what you have right now, as always, right? If you're being stimulated and stirred up and inspired by some force within you, all right, that's only half of it, right? That's only half of it. We do our magic, we do our meditation, we get inspired. Or hell, if we just watch a video or talk to somebody and we get inspired, that's half of it. The other half is taking action on that feeling. That's how you plant a seed. Think about it now. A tree drops 1,000,000 acorns. A tree drops thousands of acorns a year, right? Several acorns all the time, just dropping acorns littered all over the grass. If you've ever been outside near an acorn tree or pine cone tree, you'll see that they're always dropping seeds or hell, shooting out pollen all over the place. But all of those seeds, all that pollen, hell, humans do it too. All that seeding does not create a new life. Doesn't create a new life. It has to actually be planted in a receptive force in order to create new life. So look, with this inspiration, if this has been a tower moment for you, if this has been a wheel of fortune, if you've got a new perspective, if you've been feeling any of this energy, make sure you plant that seed, right? By taking action. Like really take a decisive look. See the sword? Take a decisive thought process on what's going on in your life right now and start making moves so you can plant that seed. And that's how this force will grow in your life. That's how it will grow in your life. Taking action. All right. All right. So that is the collective reading. I hope that this has given you something to take action with, right? Take action with. Maybe there is something in your life you really need to look at and see that, oh, this is the real definition of wealth and abundance. Not just numbers in a bank account, not just money and numbers in a bank account, but it's probably family, friends, health, right? There's something in that area, something in that legacy, right? Your work. There's something beyond money that has that true meaning of value and abundance to you. Find that and focus on that. Focus on that. And also give yourself grace. We've all made mistakes. That's literally the human condition, right? There's an old ass quote that's very powerful that says, to err is human, but to forgive is divine. Divine. All right. So let's go on to specific readings. We already have a couple of specific readings lined up. And look, if you want a reading, just hit the link in the Cash App pinned above. Pinned above. So let's get to these specific readings. First, we've got an Aquarius. Hell, first and second, we've got Aquarius, if I'm not mistaken. Katrina, are you present? Are you here? Katrina. Or do I just... All right. Okay, there she is. So we've got Aquarius, Scorpio, Virgo. Aquarius Sun, Scorpio Moon, Virgo Rising. Aquarius Sun, Scorpio Moon, Virgo Rising. And Katrina, did you have a specific thing in mind, or did you want a general reading for yourself? Was it specific for you, or did you have a general request? Okay, so after Katrina, after Katrina, we've got Stray Panther, then Maestro, and then the person who donated after that. Let me know your sun, your moon, and your rising sign. There he is, Romeo. Cool. Romeo says, "What's going on, Trav? Can't wait for the reading. So much has manifested since the last reading. Awesome, awesome. Okay. All right." She says, "General. Let's go ahead and start. Let's go ahead and begin." Let me see how this works. I'm gonna try something different here. Yeah. Okay. Let's do that. All right. So general read. Mm-hmm. Let's do that. I'm in there like swimwear. That's pretty in there if you think about it. Look at the faces on the arms of Aquarius. Isn't that interesting? Such a cool deck. Glad I got it. Okay. General reading for Catrania. And if I'm pronouncing your name incorrectly, just let me know. That way I don't have to pronounce it incorrectly ever again. We'll start with a 3-card sentence. Oh, look who makes a return. No way. Man, what the hell? Tell you what. Well, we can say that that's magical and mystical. And I know I just sat here and shuffled them cards. We're going to do that over. Perhaps I need a new shuffle method. Because ain't no way. Ain't no way. Charge that to the game. Observer says, yo, I'm Siba. You're going to get thoroughly shuffled up here. And even if it wasn't, how the hell did it come right back around? All right, I'm going to cut these things up. Whatever comes out, comes out. Cut these things up again. Whatever comes out, comes out. That's happened before, but come on, man. 76 cards in this deck. All right, here we go. 3-card sentence. Knight of Wands. Hanged Man just had to come back. Ace of Wands. All right, so to begin with this thing, we've got the Knight of Wands, and the Knight of Wands has been a recurring character over the past couple of months. For certain, this is a card that represents a very explosive type of stimulating energy. This is Fire of Fire, right? One of the most fiery cards in the deck. The Knight of Wands, rushing. And usually this is rushing towards something that is known. This isn't as in contract to rushing towards the unknown. This is rushing towards something that you know, right? So far I'm seeing that there's some type of inspiration, some type of energy, some type of passion. That's the correct word. Some type of passion that has been in your life for quite a while, right? An established fiery passion. And with this being an established fiery passion, this could be something that's really been fueling and inspiring you for some time. Here we come again with this Hanged Man, which represents a change of perspective. He's upside down. So it very well could be that right now, in relation to that general reading, you could be taking this passion that you've already had and perhaps steering it in a new direction. Taking this passion that you already have and steering it in a new direction. Perhaps there is some type of skill set, some type of hobby, some type of field of study. Maybe there's an art form or something that you practice, something that you engage in that really makes you feel whole and complete, and you just really enjoy it. Maybe that's starting to change directions now. Maybe you're starting to aim that in a new direction. And here we have the Ace of Wands here, which is still continuing with that fiery, passionate action energy, right? It may be that you have discovered some new piece of information or found a new way to do this thing that you're passionate about. But this all points to a change in the flow of that passion, of that Kundalini energy of yours. It seems that whatever it is that you've been doing, in a way, has been reignited and redirected. Let me know how that sounds to you so far. Reignited and redirected. Mhm. Ah. So here we have the Death card. We have the Six of Swords, and we have the Strength card. So this top read has everything to do with perhaps your main energetic focus, right? Something that you put a lot of your energy into. Something that you put a lot of your energy into. You've got a new perspective on it. Perhaps you found a new way to do it, or you found some new information that changes everything about it. But either way, that focus towards that passionate energy has shifted. So far, sounds like a great thing. Here we've got the Death card. The Death card. Change and transformation. Death of the old form and birth of the new. Rings right along with these first three cards. Transformation, change, death of the old way, and birth of the new way. And that birth of the new way didn't come without its mental struggles. We got the Six of Swords here. And the Six of Swords deals with Mercury and Aquarius. So there's a lot of dreams, a lot of hope, a lot of new ideas and new plans going through your head. And perhaps you're at a bit of a standstill now that the old way that you used to do this thing has kind of ceased, kind of stopped, kind of changed. Maybe the old way that you've done this is no longer available. So it kind of feels like you're stagnant just a little bit. And you've got all these ideas and concepts popping up in your head in relation to this passion of yours. Don't be deceived into thinking that it's over. Don't be deceived into thinking that this thing is done, that the time is up. I hope that you recognize that right now this is a transitional phase, that right now this is a phase of this passion of yours changing form. And maybe it's time to reflect on some of these new ideas, some of these new concepts, some of these new ideas of ways to do that thing that you used to do. And what we're going to find at the end of all this is that this is going to bring about a new level of inner strength. And see, this Strength card is more than just about brute strength. We're talking about, again, that Kundalini Shakti energy, like I mentioned before, fire of fire. Well, this here is almost a direct ringer of that Kundalini Shakti energy, even more so than that Tower card of Mars, because this is a solar card, represents the sun. The lion is often seen as a symbol of the sun. Leo, this card represents Leo, the solar energy. And what she's doing, what this is showing is the willpower of the mind, right? You can see that infinity symbol over her head, just like we see in the magician card of Mercury. This is using the intellect to master the animal self, to master and to discipline the solar energy within the physical self. And it's in doing so that you transcend the lower self to meet the higher self. So whatever this fiery, passionate hobby, activity, or whatever it was of yours, whatever this Knight of Wands represented, seems that you've changed the way that you see it, changed the way that you look at it. Perhaps a new way of doing this has appeared. And in a way, it kind of seems like a death to the old. Might even seem like a stagnant, dry period. But understand that right now, it's the stagnant, dry period that's going to allow for the new ideas and the new concepts to enter your mind so that you can find a new channel for this energy. And this new channel for this energy is going to help you to discipline the lower self so that you can connect with that higher self in a more powerful way. In a more powerful way. So let me know what you think about that so far, Katrina. All right. Well, I hope that that was hope that that came through clear and pointed to something very direct for you, Katrina. Katrina says, yes, finding a new way for my business. Okay. Okay. Finding a new way for your business. Okay. Excellent. Right. Excellent. So it seems like the seeds of a new way to do this have already entered your sphere, right? Ace of Wands, these new ideas, these new forms, these new ways to express this. And they came just before this feeling of stagnancy, this feeling of this death period, of this transformation period. So really pay attention to some of these new ideas. Pay attention to some of these new ideas. Some of them might not make sense as far as how the old way was going, but it's within these new ideas that the new way will be established. And in doing so, it's going to have this underlying spiritual effect of starting that process of really learning to discipline and master the animal self. Because it might be that the animal self, it might be that the human, the lower self, is causing somewhat of a conflict of how you're going about your business, right? And that could be in the form of fears and doubts and attachments. Maybe that's causing a bit of conflict and stagnation. But understand, it's not over. It is not, it's far from over. This is the period of finding a new way to channel this, finding a new way to channel this. That seed has already been planted. The new way is already there. You just got to give it space to grow and to develop and to mature. You just got to give it space to grow and to develop and to mature. Trust, trust, trust. All right. All right. All right, so coming up next, we had Stray Panther. We had Stray Panther. Very similar astrological signs here: Aquarius, Scorpio. This is Aquarius Sun, Sagittarius Moon, Scorpio rising. Cool beans, cool beans. All right, Stray Panther, you with me? And Stray Panther, was this going to be general or was this going to be specific? Stray Panther, was this going to be general or specific? Been having a bit of a thunderstorm today, so I'm not sure if my internet is lagging or what. But I'm not seeing anything. Perhaps if I refresh my page. I don't know what's going on. Okay, well, if Stray is not there, Stray Panther's not there, Romeo. Romeo, are you present? So I've got you next, Romeo. Okay, here we go. It says specific spirit guides. All right, cool. All right, specific message from spirit guides. Let's do it. Let's do it. Temperance. One of the most challenging paths on the tree, for sure. Okay, so temperance. Temperance card is all about alchemy. It's the mixing and the blending, right? So it looks as if this temperance is a big theme for you right now. And when I say alchemy, specifically what I'm speaking of is the alchemy of the lower self into the higher self. The blending of these two phases of consciousness, the lower self into the higher self. It seems as if the higher self is opening itself to you in ways that you can realize more of who you actually are. So this Three of Wands, dealing with the energy of the sun in Aries, the sun often pointing to the self, the persona, the ego, right? The core of who you are. Then, of course, we've got the Knight of Wands. Again, this fiery, explosive passion. Perhaps there's been a lot of thoughts, a lot of contemplation on your higher self and how your higher self relates to the personality, to the lower self. And this contemplation on the higher self and how it relates to the lower self perhaps has been shaping and shifting how you carry yourself out in the world. And perhaps you found that it started to give you a newfound passion, a newfound inspiration. Maybe there's something here in this meditation of yours. Maybe there's something here in the study of yours that's opening up new areas of inspiration, new areas of passion that might even be leading you to tackle challenges or dreams or visions that you might have left alone for a while. Perhaps there's something that you're revisiting due to a newer spark, to receiving a newer spark. And it seems like this alchemy has been, of course, a direct result of this meditation. A direct result of this meditation. We know going within is really the only place to find this conversation of the Holy Guardian Angel. Going within is really the only place to find this conversation of the Holy Guardian Angel. Seems like there's something that you've left behind in the past, maybe unfinished. There's something that you probably moved away from, that you're now getting the inspiration to go back and try it again. And it seems like your focus may have shifted, right? Pointing back to the original collective reading. Maybe your focus has shifted. Maybe the reason you left it alone was because you didn't feel like it was really going anywhere or leading to anything that could have been profitable or valuable. Perhaps you left it alone. But now that your perspective is starting to change and shift with maturity, right, with that grace that I mentioned before, Perhaps now you're going back towards it with a new appreciation for what's really valuable about it. And it has a lot to do with your inner light. Maybe you're going back to this thing to use it as a channel to connect with that higher self, right? Perhaps you are now going back to use this as a channel to connect with this higher self, with this holy guardian angel. Okay, Straight Panther says art. Nice, nice. Art. I can see that. I can see that. Okay. All right. So reconnecting with something in your past, some type of hobby, some type of passion. There's a new inspiration for it. And it seems like now you're going to be using this as a channel to connect with your spirit, a channel to connect with your spirit. Might even be using this as a form of meditation. Mhm. Ten of Swords, Sun and Gemini. Sun and Gemini. So the Three of Wands was the Sun in Aries. Now we're dealing with the Sun in Gemini. Where Sun in Aries, Sun in Gemini. Where what we saw here was that you'd be going back to something that you've put down. You're going back to pick it up, something in your past, some hobby, some activity. You said art, you said occult study. You're going back to pick this up. However, what you'll also find is that over time, sure, there comes maturity, wisdom, and higher understanding, but there's probably some other things that have developed in your life since you were last doing the art or the occult study. Perhaps there are other things that have developed in your life that may make things more challenging because now that focus is diffused, it's split. Earlier we had Mars in Gemini. Now we've got the Sun in Gemini with this card. So it seems like while you are going back to art, to occult study, and things like that, it seems like your time is going to be split because of other responsibilities. There are other things that are going to kind of cause that energy to not be as focused as it was before. And understand that the King of Pentacles, right, the King of the Earth Elementals, the King of organizing and accumulating, it seems like you've got this energy on your side, right? Even though your focus may be scattered, even though you might have other responsibilities and other things calling for your attention and for your time, I think what you're going to learn here out of this is that in utilizing what you do have available to you, you're going to make the absolute best of it. You're going to make the absolute best of it. So what I'm picking up here is that the message is, yes, you have been called to go back and pick up your earlier love. Go back and pick up some of these things that you let go. And don't be disheartened by the fact that you might not have as much time as you had before. Don't be disheartened because you're also working with a new energy that allows you to maximize your efforts, that allows you to make the most of what you do have. So focus on what you do have. Sir Panther says, scattered ain't the word. Oh, man. Well, again, don't let that be something that dissuades you. Understand that you have been called back to those things. You have been called back to them. It's just now you're going to be working with a different kind of focus to make the absolute best of what you got. To make the absolute best of what you do currently have. Straight Panther says, death clock ticking. Let me know, Straight Panther, if there's any specific content that you'd like for me to cover, or any topics that you think would be relevant to you. I'll see if I have anything in my library that we can dive into. Let's pull one more. There he is. There he is, the Hanged Man. A new perspective on what's important, a new perspective on what's valuable, a new perspective on what matters, a new perspective on what's abundant, on what actually is wealth. Right? This has been the recurring theme. This has been the recurring theme. Okay. Okay. So at this point, we got Maestro next. MC Maestro was next after Straight Panther, and then after MC Maestro, we've got Romeo. So we'll do Maestro, and then we'll do Romeo. We got Maestro, then we got Romeo. So I hope that does give some encouragement towards you, Straight Panther. This is the time of alchemy, the time of making the most of what you have and putting it together in such a way that requires just enough, not too much of one, not too little of the other. Exactly what you have is exactly enough. Exactly what you have is exactly enough. Exactly what you have is exactly enough. Yes, yes. Okay, so Maestro was you and you on the cusp. Aries Taurus cusp. Ascendant. Moon. We'll do it like that. Ashe, Ashe, Straight Panther. Aquarius, Taurus, cuspity cusp, Scorpio moon. All right, let's get to it. All right, and to everybody in the chat, I appreciate you being here. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your focus here. Hopefully that you're getting something out of this that you can utilize, something that you can gain clues and signposts on your journey. Thank you if you hit that like button already. And if you haven't, go ahead and hit the like button. And if you're considering getting a reading for yourself, just hit the link that is pinned at the top of the chat. All right, so here we go. We're going to do this one from my stroke. Never too much, never too much, never too much. I got a question. Has anybody been feeling that stagnation? Has anybody been feeling that like in between state? Like something was just completed and we're not quite into the next thing yet? Does anybody else here feel that in between state? Let me know in the chat. Because I most definitely have been feeling it to the point where it kind of feels cold. And I've been through this before, right? I've been paying attention to my states and the patterns in my life. You know, all the stuff that I talk about and tell y'all to do, I've been doing it for a while. So I've certainly been through periods like this where it seems very stagnant and very in between and uncertain, right? And to a degree, uncomfortable. But I've learned how to dance and how to move in this. But yeah, it certainly feels that way for me right now. We're in that in-between state. To the point that it just felt kind of empty. Like I mentioned this the other night, but I was having one of my meditations. I think it was right on that full moon. And I swear it felt like I was the only one in this whole city. Like it was that alone. Like I didn't feel the vibration of anybody. I must have been in the twilight zone. Because, you know, I like to have my little meditations deep in the night at like 3 a.m., 4 a.m., 5 a.m. before the sun comes up. And it was that full moon too. So like I had the windows open, the blinds open, and you could see that blue light streaming in. It looked like a Freddy Krueger Hellraiser movie, with the incense smoke twirling. You know what I'm saying? It was really cool. But, you know, as I'm having my meditation and my channeling session, it just felt so void, right? And I'm asking, like, what's the freaking direction? What happens next? Where do we go? And of course, the message I received after quite a while of channeling was, next step is going to come with or without your assistance, right? The next step is already on its way. So you deal with right now. You deal with today. Deal with the next step when next step happens. Wasn't the most fun answer, but it was the answer that I needed. For sure, the answer that I needed. I like that. Straight Panther says, not cold, but stale. Yeah, that's a good way for it. And Amali says, yeah, I told my friend it feels like the story just wrapped up. Yeah, and we're so used to movies having that clear ending with the credits rolling. But no, we just get like this feeling that it just ended, right? And then we get the feeling that something else begins. And then there's that in between feeling that's marked by knowing that it's not a beginning, middle, or end of anything else. Like, we're literally sensitive enough to just feel what chapter of the book we're in. It's weird. All right, Maestro's present. Supremacy McCoy says, I can agree with that energy. Been feeling that energy as prompts to move around. Yeah. Getting into my most uncomfortable areas and being comfortable or making something of it. Romeo Wade says, like I'm floating in between something being destroyed and something being created. I'm not happy nor sad. I just feel like I'm here, lol. Yeah, man. Yeah, man. Okay, Maestro, we're doing the reading right now. Doing the reading right now. All right. Let's see what we have here for the first three. Well, you know what time it is, huh? We know what time it is. Hmm. I swear, man, I was shuffling the entire time that I was talking, and we get these recurring figures, and not just mixing the cards, but like cutting the decks. Anyways, here we are. Here we are. Ace of Pentacles, the Emperor, and the Knight of Wands. The Knight of Wands has been a recurring theme for sure, right? And we know that this Knight of Wands deals with that passionate, fiery, impulsive energy. And not impulsive to the point of, oh, let's just do this right now because I feel like it, but it's impulsive as in it's magnetized by desire, right? This is the passionate desire. This is what we live for. When you wake up and before you go to sleep, this is what you're looking forward to. This is our greatest hobby. This is our greatest thing. The greatest thing for us right now. It's a skill, it's a hobby, it's a person, it's an activity, it's something that we are happy to spend our energy on, and it invigorates more energy. So this is kind of a cyclical, it's a spiral of energy. Think of a spiraling fiery serpent. Oh, a lot like this image, right? Think of a spiraling fiery serpent rising. That's what we get with this Knight of Wands. And there's no coincidence that we have this Aries, because as said earlier today and many other times, the Emperor card represents the sign of Aries. You can see the rams all over the throne. And what was also said about the Emperor earlier is that this represents the wisdom of leadership, or we should say leadership under wisdom. An experienced ruler organizing and setting forth the plans of the kingdom. What's to happen next? Now we kick this off with the Ace of Pentacles. Ace being new birth, always new birth. The Akashic aspect of whatever element, and in this case, it's the earth element. So we got the Akashic aspect of the earth element, the Ace of Pentacles. So when I say the Akashic aspect of the element, I say this is that degree of the element that has just been translated from its highest, most subtle aspect, right? It's condensed into something tangible. And what's the first thing that's tangible to us? Well, it's a feeling, right? First we get a feeling, then we get thoughts out of that feeling, and then hopefully those thoughts become words and actions. So if we follow that trickle down pattern, right, before their actions, they're usually words, and before their words, their thoughts, and before their thoughts, their feelings, and before their feelings, they're up in this Akashic realm, this astral realm. And this is what we have here. Pentacles. And when we think of pentacles, we think of something that is becoming concrete, something that is taking shape, taking form, something tangible that you will be able to see, hold, right? Touch. Manifestation, in other words, manifestation. Brand new manifestation. Now, there's that glaring, obvious token, that golden coin that says that this relates to money and abundance. And tonight's readings have been all about the fact that most of us involved with this whole thing right here have been starting to shift our perspective of what abundance and wealth is. We've been starting to shift what abundance and wealth means to us. Let's keep going. Oy vey. Oy vey. So here we are. Here we are. Virgo, Sagittarius, and of course the sun. Now, I mentioned earlier in the stream that all the cards that deal with the planets represent polarities. And in this case, the sun represents the polarity of fertility and barrenness. Fertility versus barrenness. And that lines up right here with that passionate Knight of Wands. That Knight of Wands, that lines right up with it. So let's go back a little bit. The Hermit. That internal search, that internal meditation, right? That going within to find the answers, that going into the darkness to find the treasures that are not as obvious, right? That are not as obvious. And while going into the darkness to find these treasures, we often encounter the dragon. We often encounter the obstacle. And what is within? More of you, of course. Specifically those parts of yourself that have been ignored, or I should say not paid attention to as much as others. So to go back around and tell this whole story out, we've got an impulse, some early form of manifestation starting to take shape. And before it can be spent or blown out of proportion, right? And the interesting thing is, notice how with most people, when something new starts to trickle into our lives, it immediately jumps to this passionate Knight of Wands type of deal. So most people, when they get something, they blow it right away. As soon as they feel it, they get it out of their system. As soon as the money hits their bank, they go and spend it, right? That's the youth. My dad used to say, youth is wasted on the young. I found myself saying that a lot. As soon as we get something, we blow it away. But it appears that in this particular sentence, there's now wisdom in between those two extremes. There's wisdom. Remember, the sun represents fertility and barrenness. The dichotomy between fertility and barrenness. The polarity between fertility and barrenness. And just like wealth and abundance doesn't just mean money, fertility and barrenness doesn't just mean sex and children. So we've got that new impulse of manifestation, and the very first place it goes is the realm of wisdom. And I say the first place it goes because also we got Aries at the beginning, and this card represents Aries. So now we got the wisdom to know what to do with this new influx that's on its way. Now behind that wisdom, now we can put some wisdom behind the passion. Now we can move passionately, guided by wisdom. And guess what? It gets even better, because this isn't just going to be spent and blown out into the world. It's being directed within. Internal alchemy now, right? Because even still with wisdom and passion, we can still waste it out in the world. There's so many different ways to waste our resources in this world. But it seems like the next step that's happening here is actually that these resources are being directed inwards. And there is no better place to direct your wealth. There is no better place to direct your abundance. because you're going to need all the resources that you've got to face your own shadow. You're going to need all the resources you've got to face this challenge, which is inevitable. Most people run from this and they have to start over. But in this case, it looks like you're going to have the passion, the wisdom, the resources to go within and to overcome the biggest obstacle of all. Because here's the thing, this is the Lord of the Gates of Matter. That's the occult name, the Lord of the Gates of Matter, meaning that the true mastery over the material plane comes after you defeat the devil. It comes after you defeat the devil, not before. And when I say defeat the devil, just like any other occult lesson, what we're talking about is dealing with a type of energy. And when you can get to a point where you control it within yourself, you can now control it in the outside world. And it looks like this self-mastery here, this self-discipline here, this being able to use the resources that's been given to you with wisdom, you'll be able to overcome this lower nature. You'll be able to overcome this attachment to the material plane. And when I say attachment to the material plane, I mean that attachment that comes through all gates, through the eyes, through the ears, through the nose, through the mouth, through the sensations of the body, through your beliefs, all those gates that you experience the world, you've got to discipline all of them. And it looks like, MC Maestro, you're at a point now where you have the resources and the wisdom to do that, which is beautiful. Because the outcome of this, the victory of this is a victorious card. The victory of this is that the reward, the Siddhi now becomes the mastery over the polarity of fertility and barrenness. Makes me think that maybe there are 7 Siddhis to attain on this tree. 7. The Magician card, Mercury, dealing with life and death. The High Priestess, the Moon card, dealing with wisdom and folly. The Empress, Venus, dealing with war and peace. Mars, the Tower, dealing with grace and indignation. Saturn, dealing with dominance and submission. That's the Universe card. Who am I missing? Mercury, Venus. Then, of course, the Sun card. We just mentioned that. Fertility and barrenness. Perhaps there are 7 Siddhis that we must master. 7 polarities. Garrett Patterson, peace, peace. Okay. I hope that this resonates. I hope that you have the capacity to receive and that this resonates. MC Marshall says, interesting take. May clip that later for myself. Yeah, this is a pretty cool set. I like that. I can see a clear story, and that makes it a lot easier for me. Cool beans. Cool beans. All right, next up we have Romeo. Romeo, are you still here with us? Romeo, are you still with us? See, Maestro says the Emperor and the Devil seem to be the same too. Yeah, these two, I can definitely see a correlation. I can see a correlation between these two. And that would say that there's a correlation here. I mean, most certainly we've got that star in his lantern and the star in the hand, along with the neutral gray colors and all. Microcosm, macrocosm, possibly. All right, Romeo. Let me know if this is a general reading for you, or if you've got a specific question, if you've got a specific thing that you'd like brought up. And of course, if anyone else would like a reading, because this is going to be the last reading. If not, if anyone else would like a reading, there's a link that I pinned at the top of the chat. Click that link. You can give a donation for a reading, and then we can do that. Otherwise, this will be the last reading of the night. Peace, MC Maestro. All right, if I'm not mistaken, you're Taurus Sun, Cancer Moon, Capricorn Rising. Observer, peace, peace. Looney's Universe, peace and greetings. Hope you're having a good evening. Oh, nice. 1111. Thank you, Anna Molly. You're the best. 1111. 1111. Beautiful. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. It's a gateway, right? It's a gateway, right? It's like a mini holiday every day, right? Who ever heard of such a thing? A mini holiday every day. Okay, so we're going to talk about the energy behind your ankle. But honestly, I think really what you're asking, correct me if I'm wrong, is what's going on with the energies behind your ritual, right? Perhaps you've connected your ankle to that, and it could be unrelated. It could, but maybe it definitely is. Only you would know, right? But correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that what you're actually asking is what is the energy of this ritual that you've done? Okay, we'll deal with that. We'll deal with that. And as we deal with that, Romeo, what I want you to do is to consider exactly how the answer can be useful and appropriate to you. I want you to consider how exactly, because clarity is going to give you the best end result. The more clarity you have up front, the better the result's going to be at the end. So as we go through this, I want you to consider, all right, I'm shuffling this up real good. I want you to consider how the answer is exactly going to be useful and appropriate to you. Starline says, I feel like that anytime I blaze and listen to music, LOL. Mini holiday. Yeah, man. It's good to have mini holidays. Celebrate life, man. Enjoy it. Celebrate life and enjoy it. Who says you have to wait? Somebody told us we have to wait to celebrate once a year, right? Or every other couple of months or something like that. Who told us that? And why do we have to listen to it? You know, I was thinking myself about freedom. What is freedom? And freedom has been my number one thing. And probably because I felt growing up that I didn't have any of it. Freedom has always been my number one thing. And I really sat down and defined my definition of freedom, right? And it really, I mean, it boils down to like pretty much being able to do exactly what I want to when I want to do it, without having to answer to anybody, without having any expectations from somebody, you know what I'm saying? With somebody holding me to their fucking limits, you know? And that's always been a core of my values, is to have freedom. Because I know, right? Not just because, oh, I don't want nobody to tell me what to do, but because I know that I operate my best when I am able to move and flow exactly how and when I need to. I know that I operate my best when I flow that way. Now, yes, there are times when I work better under pressure, when I work better under limits, for sure. But when it comes to life and living, I want to be able to move and breathe exactly how I want to. To me, that's what freedom is, right? And I worked hard to get that. And I work hard to keep it. And I believe that, you know, obviously my freedom ain't hurting nobody. But if we all have freedom, this world could be a pretty decent place. Clearly, I'm not talking about idiots who like to, do things that aren't useful or appropriate in terms of the entire human race, but you catch my drift. Here's what I'm saying. It is excellent to be very clear on the words you use, to be very clear on your values and what life means to you, to be very clear, because then you can recognize when you have it and you can recognize how to get it. All right? Mini holiday. I am free to celebrate life whenever, however I want to. And so should you. Okay, so here we go. Romeo. Black Wraith. Peace. I knew you were going to pop up here sometime soon. All right, I'm making sure this thing is quadruple, quintuple shuffled. Boom. The hangman just popped out. See? No matter how much I shuffle, them same cards going to come out. I'm telling you. Days in says, at the moment I can't celebrate, but I will once I get to where I'm going. All right, I'm sure you have your reasons for that. Here we go, Romeo. Here we go, Romeo. The star, Aquarius. Two of Wands, Mars in Aries. Nine of Wands, the moon in Sagittarius. Here's what we've got so far. You have high hopes and dreams. Whatever your ritual was about, apparently this has got a pretty lofty expectation. Whatever this ritual is that you're doing, it's serious to you, and I get the feeling it's probably something that hasn't happened to you before. I think you're reaching for the stars here. You're reaching for something that you haven't had before, and this is good. This is good, right? There are some people who just naively think that, oh, I'm gonna do a ritual for a Ferrari, and that's the only work they put in, and then get mad when it doesn't happen. I don't think it's that kind of reaching for the stars. This is one of those situations where you've got the resources in hand, right? This is something that has some backing to it. This is something that has a foundation to it, right? This is the Two of Wands, the Mars in Aries. Mars is at home in Aries. Aries is ruled by Mars. Your energies are in alignment right now, right? So these dreams that you have, the hope for this ritual that you've got right now, it's all founded in a good place. You know what you're doing. This is great, right? And there has been an injury, as you just said. There's been pain, that you've been beat across the head. Well, in this particular case, the ankle. Yeah, there's been a pain. The moon represents a shifting of energies. Sagittarius represents a connecting of energies, right? So far, what I'm seeing is what you've experienced. It is related, but not as deeply as you might think. It is related, but not as deeply as you might think. There is a shifting in energies, and as things are moved around, sometimes things get bumped. Sometimes things get bumped. In other words, I don't think that it's a bad sign, right? I don't think it's a bad sign because it's seen, and correct me if I'm incorrect, right? Because you know better than I do. It seems like the start of this ritual is coming from a very well-grounded, well-founded place. Even though you're reaching high, it's not something that is illogical. This is something that is that's probable, right? Let's get some more info on it. And let me know what you think about this so far, Romeo. Let's get some more intel here. Woo, the world card. The world card. Speaking of Saturn, right? We've been getting these major arcana that deal with the planets, like I've been speaking about all night. In particular, this represents Saturn. We're dealing with the polarity between power and submission. This is the polarity between power and slavery, power and submission. And she's mastered that. Some people say that this is an androgynous figure. Who knows? But what I do know is that this is an echo of the Strength card and the Empress. This is the Empress. After the Empress has her baby, she goes out and wrestles a lion, and then she dances in space. So this is the same woman here at a lower octave, right? So perhaps this is before she got pregnant. Maybe she danced in space and then wrestled a lion and then became the Empress. Who knows? But what I do know is that this is the dance of power and submission, and in specific, understanding nature versus will. Nature versus will. Understanding the forces of the universe, understanding all the patterns of existence that are already in place, and how you fit into that puzzle. A lot of people think, oh, I'm going to get into magic and I'm just going to control everything. But that's not the truth, right? You are still subject to the influences of a human body and to memory and to ego. You haven't overcome those things, let alone the forces of the universe. So this card, dealing with the polarity between power and submission, what it's talking about here is understanding and checking up, right? Because you always got to check, just like you got to check the status of your, when you download a massive file, you check every couple minutes to see how much percentage you've got. Well, you've got to check the percentage of your balance between the power and the submission, between the forces of nature and your ego, right? Some people are completely dominated by nature and they don't realize it. And then there are others who are doing the work, and with wisdom and maturity, they start to shift those tides. You see what I'm saying? Let's keep going. So the Eight of Cups. The Eight of Cups. Here we're dealing with Saturn and Pisces. Now, Pisces, as I said before, deals with dreams. It deals with looking back, memories, nostalgia, fantasy, but a world within the mind that's very feeling based. And here we see the figure walking away. That's the Saturn influence, a disciplining and a limiting of dreams, a limiting of dreams. So it could be that whatever the ritual was about had a high hope, a high dream, and it looks like you had a great foundation behind what you were doing. And it seems like, yes, there have been some bumps in the road, but not enough to knock you off course. And it seems that behind all this, the energy behind all this is a dance between power and submission. In other words, a dance between accepting what's happening in life, what you have power over and what you don't. Does anybody know I think it's a poem or something, right? Give me the strength to make the decisions that I can and the strength to accept those that I can't. You know what I'm talking about? I think that's the AA thing. But that's all about the energy of this card. Knowing when something is in your control and in your power, and accepting when something is not, right? And here it looks like there is an acceptance, there is a walking away, there is a knowledge of something that might not be in your control, in your power. Let's see what this last card is about. The moon card. So speaking of Pisces, here we are again. This card actually represents Pisces, the moon. And here we deal with what can be called deception. What can be called deception because the moon shines with a light that isn't its own. The moon reflects. The moon reflects what's already present, what's already being given to it. So in other words, there may be forces here that you are not in control of. And there may be a realization of that, which leads you to accept that there is a time to walk away. However, don't lose that initial hope. Don't lose that initial hope of the star. See, the star shines with its own light. The moon is reflected light. The moon is reflected light. In other words, some of these forces that are not under your control actually are, right? Listen to what I'm saying here. The same way that the moon reflects the sun, right? We think that the moon is beaming out light, but in truth, it's reflecting light from the sun. Some of these forces that may appear to be dominating you very well may be your own higher energies reflected to you through different forms. And in learning to submit and walk away from things that you don't control, you're actually learning to accept your own divine will. Let me know if that makes sense, because that came through just at the end. Oh, Romeo Wade says, your reading months ago had me talking about leaving my past behind from my daughter. I drove across country for training since I'm in the military. I just got orders to Miami and was supposed to leave. I've been on the Cliffotic journey for 3 years and just invoked the final sphere a few months ago before I had that reading. Then I've been solidifying the energy with every ritual since then to let go of the things I don't need to reach my highest potential, to reflect on myself and be reborn again. The broken ankle now slows everything down. I felt things were going to according to plan. Interesting, interesting. I think what came through here is that these obstacles, in this particular obstacle, doesn't seem like something that's random. It seems like this is a reflection of your ritual. This is a reflection of your divine will, of your higher self, playing out in a way that seems as if it's random or it's from some other source. In other words, this is still part of the plan. This is still part of the plan. The step that you're about to take is the step that you're supposed to take. The step that you're about to take is the step that you're supposed to take. And you'll see that it wasn't a tough decision at all. Because these energies that are floating around and manifesting in different ways are all coming from the same source. On one level, we are animals under the control of nature. And that's true. And that's why most people don't wake up. That's why most people go about doing their human stuff because they're supposed to. That's what they're supposed to. They're not ready to wake up yet. They're not ripe. So all these things that are used to keep people asleep, right? The over-sexuality in the media, the dumbass music, the politics, the arguing, the debates, all the foolishness and confusion that keeps people asleep. It's actually a safeguard. It's supposed to be there. Each and every one of our higher selves are not only allowing it and facilitating it, but have designed it so that this system can work out perfectly. Only it's a fail-safe. Only when someone is ripe enough do they transcend, do they evolve, do they break free of their programming and start reaching towards their higher self. Only then. So it takes an evolved mind, a mature mind, a disciplined mind to even start that process. And at every step of the way, there's going to be something that appears that will persuade you to turn back and just be a regular person. And the less that those obstacles influence you to turn back, the closer and closer you are to being truly liberated. Starline says, like that story you told about the guests of the hotel trying to hold back the guy from being a god. Absolutely. That's what's happening with all of us. We're all in that hotel. And some of us are super comfortable. And it's supposed to be that way. It's supposed to be that way. Peace, peace, Louis. Romeo, let me know how that goes for you. Let me know if that resonates, if that makes sense, if that aligns or not. Wow. I think I'll have to clip that part out. Yeah, I'll have to clip that part out. That was interesting. Mad Titan, peace, peace. Okay, and ultimately, Romeo, let's do one more. Let's pull one more. Let's pull one more. The Chariot. The Chariot. Still on the move. Things are still moving according to plan, right? This journey has not been slowed down or halted. But just like I said at the beginning, for that general reading for everyone, our perspectives are shifting to what is actually valuable. Our perspectives are shifting to what's actually important. You're still on the move. It may seem as if mobility has been injured, but the truth is mobility has not changed. Has not changed. Y'all gotta trust your higher self. Trust your higher self. Not me. I'm not telling you this stuff. I'm interpreting literally the symbols and the astrology behind all this. That's what I'm interpreting. But you gotta trust your higher self. Romeo asks, isn't the Chariot Cancer? Yes, the Chariot is Cancer. The Chariot is Cancer. The Chariot is Cancer. The Chariot also represents the breastplate, the breast, the protection, right? Um, let's see, let's see, let's see. Aries is sight. Um, Taurus is hearing. Gemini is smell. So I want to say Cancer is taste. I want to say Cancer is taste. Ain't no stopping us now. We're on the move. We're on the move. Keep the faith. Keep the faith, my friend. Keep the faith. At no point, once you've initiated contact with the higher self, at no point does it stop. At no point do you release it. At no point do things get out of hand. At no point are things left up to chance. I talked earlier about like, oh no, it feels as if I'm in between. It feels like we're in this in between period. I mentioned that, yes, and it's true. I feel that way. But I also have the wisdom and the maturity to know that that's not actually how it is, right? Just because, and I've come to this conclusion and this lesson through my work with spirit over the years, and different spirits, right? Of all types, from Lucifer to King Payman to all types of different spirits. And what I learned is just because they're not all up in your face, whispering in your ear and talking to you all day, all night, just because you don't see them, hear them, or feel them, does not mean the connection is terminated. In fact, it doesn't really have anything to do with the fact that you can see a spirit, hear a spirit, whatever. A lot of people think, oh, I didn't see a spirit when I did my evocation. No, like that doesn't matter at all. Doesn't matter at all. What matters is the data transfer. And usually the data transfer occurs through states. States. Now, just because you don't hear the spirit, see the spirit, whatever, doesn't mean that contact is terminated. No. There's different levels. See, look, you got to understand your reality of seeing stuff and hearing stuff, that's a limited slice of what your consciousness actually is. There are so many things happening in your consciousness that you're not even able to see, hear, smell, taste, feel. None of that, right? You got to look at the symbol of the sun, which is the big circle with a dot in the middle. And that dot in the middle is what you're able to be aware of. And that big ass circle is the entirety of consciousness. So you're only able to be aware of a tiny slice of what's actually happening. I think everybody should realize that. Everyone should come into the realization of that. Just because you don't see that spirit doesn't mean that you're no longer connected. Or the energy, or whatever you want to call it, the universe, your soul, higher self, whatever you want to call it. There's a lot more operating behind the scenes. And when you do get a face-to-face message, that's either like a last resort, just to keep you from losing your faith, or, you know, in other words, it's not even that important. Ain't no stopping us now. Okay, all right. All right. So there we have it, y'all. That's what we're gonna do for tonight. That was the general reading, and then we had some specific readings. Very insightful. Very insightful. I had a download come through in the middle of that last one. I'm gonna have to go back and listen to that and write that down. But yeah, hopefully, if you were listening, you got some information that you can use, that you can hold on to, and apply it to your experience. Hopefully, this confirmed some things for you. Hopefully. Kind of a quiet night, but I get it. Must be the Super Bowl or something. All good. All good. As always, I appreciate all of you who were present for this reading. Everyone who took the time to like the video, etc., etc. Thank you so much. Hope you have a great evening. This is the end of the video, for sure. And I'll see you tomorrow evening around the same time, and we'll talk about some more elemental stuff. How you folks enjoying the elemental conversation? Do you find that the elemental information is useful and appropriate to your practice? Does it give you levels of understanding? Is it just extra entertainment? What do you think about the elemental stuff? Been loving it. Cool. Got some more things in store, so you know how that goes. All right. Yep, that's it. Gonna go do some Fortnite now. And hold on, right? Just hold on. Keep your strength, maintain your frame. If you're in limbo, like myself, or at least if you feel like you're in limbo, the answer will come. The answer's coming regardless of how you feel, so you might as well enjoy this in-between period. Go sip on some Long Island iced tea, go to the beach, just enjoy this summer. Maybe this in-between period is an opportunity for you to relax and chill, like wax a mill. No panties on the dance floor. Maybe it's time for you to go and enjoy yourself just a little bit before the next mission starts, right? It's all about how you frame the story. It's all about how you frame the story. And if you're someone who still does affirmations, here's a tip for you. Those of you who stuck around, I'm going to give you a tip. So when you're doing your affirmation, or you think about something that you really want in life and you write it down, I am more creative, right? You write your affirmation. Here's the tip that's going to help you. As I said earlier, it's those underlying beliefs that are constantly running that create your day-to-day life, like literally. So what you want to do to add more belief and oomph to your affirmations is to put because after that. Because after your affirmation. So I am XYZ because. And here's what I want you to do. I want you to sit down, meditate on it. Don't try to be cool and deep. Open yourself and allow the subconscious mind to fill in that blank. Allow the subconscious mind to give you that because. So you can say, I am super creative because, and just let the subconscious mind provide the next answer. And whatever comes out is going to be what you already believe about that. So you're able to kind of do surgery and slice it and put it on in there, as opposed to trying to force something that's unnatural to your ecosystem. So try that out. And it can be different becauses. You can do like me and have your session of meditating and just keep saying that affirmation out loud, and the because might change. But here's the thing, you keep doing it, you're going to find one that feels right. So add a because to your I am statements. Got it? It's my free tip. That's my free tip. Okay. All right. See y'all next time. This was fun. This is TK Trav, aka Travis Magus, here with LVX777. I love you all. Peace.